let's talk a little bit more about expectations. I'm not going to talk about what individual people want from individual people. I'm just talking about society as a whole. Now, there's certain basic expectations that society expects from you, and that's just the way it is. Now, you're either going to step up to the plate or you're not. Number one, if you are in the position of being a full adult, you look the part, you have developed into an adult. The basic idea is that you have some semblance of who you are. You have some idea of where you are. Now, we all go through difficult times and everything else, but I mean, the basic premise is when you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and you see an adult person. Boy, girl, whatever you choose to identify as, you see an adult person. So when you go out into the world, that's what the world's going to see. And I'm not talking about, I don't want to hear about, but this and but that. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm talking about general first impression right off the rip. You go in the grocery store. You're buying groceries for your home. You're doing what you need to do. You go to a place to pay a bill. You're going to pay bills. There are other people that are adults in line with you. They look like adults. That's the initial impression. That's the initial thought. Now, if you dig a little bit deeper, you might find out that this person, may have some mental health problems. This person may have some physical problems, whatever. But I'm talking about first impression. All that other information is secondary. And you got to understand, when you go out into the world, you can't just assume just because you have a problem that the whole world's going to see that problem, because that's not what you presented to the world. When you step foot outside the door, you step foot outside the door as an adult person. And you can't turn around and get upset because the world won't bend their will to suit you and your situation. The world is not going to change just because we have problems. It's up for us. It's up to us to change the situation. It's up to us to seek solutions. It's up to us to deal with the problems when they arise. But the problems are not going to stop being problems just because you can't deal with them. Sometimes they get worse because you can't deal with them. And if you go out into the world looking and like a grown woman, looking like a grown man, then the world is going to see a grown woman and a grown man. Until you open your mouth or until you act a certain way, then the world is going to be like, okay, that person has problems. And believe me, if you have emotional or mental problems, the world is going to see that by the way you conduct yourself, by the way you communicate, and your body language. They're going to pick that up. But that's only after that initial impression, that first glance that they see that you're a grown person. The only person who is going to be responsible for your day-to-day is going to be you at the end of the day. You may get some occasional help here and there, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. We all have somebody in our life who cares about us, who worries about us, who prays over us. There's that one somebody somewhere, and that's a blessing to have. But that person has a life as well. That person has a life that they have to live and other responsibilities they need to take care of. So if you know for a fact that you're not functioning fully as an adult as you should, it is your responsibility and only your responsibility to take the necessary steps to go ahead and correct those issues. Because the world is not going to see the problem when you walk out the door. They're going to see a man, they're going to see a woman. They're not going to see that monkey on your back. They're not going to see that problem tattooed on your forehead. They're not going to see it. So with that being said, accept the fact that when the world does not show that level of sympathy, that level of attention, that level of generosity that you're seeking, it's not the world's job to do that. It's not the world's job to fix you. If you know something is wrong, then it's your responsibility to go through whatever necessary channels you need to go through to get them fixed. And don't assume just because you're in the middle of fixing them that everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's going to take a lot of work in some cases. And it's going to take a lot of time. But understand, again, that when you go out the front door to the world, their first impression is going to be what they see right then and there at that moment. And that's going to be who you are in your physical state. That's all I got to say.